Picture this: a crowded train in Tokyo, packed with people, quiet and controlled, and suddenly a toddler begins to melt down. The noise builds, the tension rises, and you expect the parent to react instantly. But the mother doesn't panic. She doesn't whisper threats, offer snacks, or shove a screen into the child's hands. She simply waits, calm, steady, almost as if she understands something most people don't. And the truth is, she does. Children in Japan are often known for being emotionally balanced and self-disciplined, not because they're forced into obedience, but because of a parenting approach that shapes behavior at its root. It's subtle, powerful, and once you understand it, you start seeing children very differently. By the end of this, you'll have a few simple ideas you can start using immediately that can shift not just your child's behavior, but their entire sense of self. Now, it's easy to assume this only works in Japan. Different culture, different expectations. But the underlying principles are not cultural secrets. They're supported by research in developmental psychology. For years, researchers have studied why some children naturally regulate their emotions better than others, and the answer isn't strict discipline or fear-based control. It begins with a concept called shitsuke, which loosely means shaping behavior until it becomes part of the person. Instead of forcing a child to behave, the goal is to make good behavior feel natural. This is where most parenting goes in the opposite direction. A child acts out, and the response is immediate: yelling, punishment, consequences. It might stop the behavior temporarily, but it doesn't solve the real issue. The behavior returns because the underlying skill is still missing. Japanese parenting approaches this differently. Instead of asking how to stop the behavior, the focus shifts to understanding what the child hasn't learned yet. Because children don't misbehave to make life difficult, they misbehave because they lack the ability to handle something. Maybe it's frustration, patience, or communication. These are not instincts, they are skills that need to be developed. The moment you stop seeing behavior as defiance and start seeing it as a missing skill, your response changes. You stop reacting and start teaching, and that shift alone can transform the dynamic between parent and child. This is where another idea comes in, called mimamoru, which means watching over while protecting. It's the reason that mother on the train didn't rush to stop the tantrum. Instead of immediately stepping in, she allowed the moment to unfold. In many places, parents are conditioned to fix everything quickly. A child struggles, and the instinct is to intervene right away. It comes from care, but it can unintentionally send the message that the child isn't capable of handling things alone. Japanese parents take a step back. They observe. They allow space for the child to attempt, to struggle, and to figure things out. Even a small success in that process builds something far more valuable than quick comfort. It builds confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from constant praise. It comes from overcoming difficulty. This idea aligns with what psychologists describe as productive struggle, a key factor in developing resilience. Sometimes, the most supportive thing you can do is wait just a little longer before stepping in. What often surprises people is that this approach is not cold or distant. In fact, it's deeply rooted in emotional closeness through a concept called ame, which reflects a child's sense of being securely loved and cared for. In early childhood, Japanese parenting emphasizes closeness, physical presence, emotional connection, and a strong sense of security. The child feels supported, not judged or abandoned. This isn't overprotection, it's the foundation for independence. When a child feels safe at a deep level, their nervous system is more stable, and they are better able to regulate their emotions. They don't need to act out to gain attention or reassurance because they already feel secure. Over time, as the child grows, independence is gradually introduced. Responsibility increases step by step, not forced too early and not delayed unnecessarily. It creates a balance where the child feels both supported and capable. Warmth comes first, structure follows. Another powerful element of this approach is the way responsibility is built through repetition. In Japan, children are given small daily tasks from a young age, like setting the table or organizing their belongings. These tasks aren't about helping parents, they're about shaping identity. When a child consistently participates in small responsibilities, they begin to see themselves as capable and dependable. This repeated behavior forms a self-image, and that identity begins to guide their actions naturally. This is something many parenting approaches overlook. Rules and consequences can control behavior in the moment, but they don't build identity. Repetition does. When something becomes part of daily life, it becomes part of who the child believes they are. This is why small rituals matter more than big corrections. Instead of focusing on stopping negative behavior, the focus shifts to building positive patterns. A simple daily habit, done consistently, can have a lasting impact. It doesn't need to be complicated. It could be setting the table before dinner, organizing a school bag, or expressing gratitude before meals. The key is consistency, not pressure. Over time, these small actions shape how the child sees themselves, and that self-perception influences their behavior in a much deeper way than rules ever could. Ultimately, the reason Japanese parenting appears calm isn't because the children are naturally easier. It's because the system behind it reduces chaos before it starts. Instead of constantly reacting to problems, it focuses on preventing them by building skills, trust, and identity over time. It's a shift from control to guidance, from correction to connection. When you begin to approach parenting this way, you stop asking how to stop behavior and start asking what your child is still learning. And that simple change in perspective can quietly transform everything.